Hey everyone, it's Dr. Aaron just checking in. It's Friday at 5:30. Happy Canada Day. Yeah, when I set this thing up of doing my live chat, I figured I would do this on Friday at 5:30. And when I look at the schedule for the next couple months, it looks like I'm going to be away most Fridays. So we'll see how this goes. So everyone, my name's Dr. Aaron. You obviously know that since you're on my page. This is an opportunity for me to engage with people that have liked my page. So it's an opportunity for at least once a week, anyone that wants to pop on, say hi, ask me a question, can pop on and talk to me live. So Canada's 149 years old. That's pretty exciting. I wonder what Canada has prepared for next year, 150. I always get a little bit nervous when I start these things, so just gotta let the breath out. One thing I noticed from going back and watching the last two episodes is my wireless keeps cutting off. So far so good. I hope it doesn't happen today. So I'm going to recap briefly what I talked on the first episode was all about drinking lemon water, just getting some water first thing in the morning. I think a lot of us are deficient when we go day to day. Ask yourself, how much water do you drink? Like, how many of these do you drink a day? I drink at least one of these first thing in the morning. That's how I start my day. I don't always get lemon water or lemon in it, but for people that just don't like the taste of water, it's a way of getting it down. So you can make your own lemon water by getting a lemon, cutting it in half, squeezing it in there, and drinking it. Or you can just drink plain old water. And so the idea is try to get a minimum of a liter in a day. If you're drinking coffee or tea, things that are more act like a diuretic, you may want to add a little bit more water. Of course, if you're working out and you're active, 2 or 3 liters, and on hot days even more. So first thing, just try to get up your water, and sometimes that means just carrying a bottle of water along with you, so that you keep thinking. You look at it and you're like, all right, I got to drink some water. Last week we talked about supplements, B complex and fish oils, and I also mentioned coenzyme Q10. Hi there, AJ. And B complex, something I try to get as often as I can. I had some today. I actually got my first, it's been a while, but I got a niacin flush reaction. If anyone's ever had a B complex, that's that little reaction that you can get 30 or 60 minutes after you take it, where you get all red and blotchy and burny skin. That's a reaction from niacin. Niacin kind of kickstarts the metabolism, and for some people can give, if they're not aware or not waiting for it, a pretty uncomfortable reaction. But that goes away, usually if you eat a bit of food with it. So yeah, don't let that steer you away. But always make sure that you check with someone if you're going to try a new supplement and you're just unsure. Okay, so this week I wanted to answer a question from a viewer, and one of the questions was regarding stress and how to actually live a stress-less day. I don't know if that's even possible, but the question was asked for a couple tips. And so yeah, how can we reduce or minimize stress in our lives? I think probably one of the most important things is getting enough sleep. We all exist on this 24-hour rhythm. Well, hopefully we do. And that's when the sun goes down, the melatonin starts to climb, and it helps to give us a bit of exhaustion, and we start to get tired and go to bed. And then sometime between 4 and 6 in the morning, we get this other hormone called cortisol that starts to rise. And that cortisol helps to get us up in the morning. And so there's an interplay between cortisol and melatonin. So cortisol during the day and melatonin at nighttime. And the best way to really regulate that is to make sure you're getting up and going to bed around the same time each day. That includes weekends or holidays if you can. If you're someone who struggles with sleep, or someone who actually has a lot of, say, low immune system issues, and you're not getting enough sleep, or you're a shift worker and your sleep is erratic and you are struggling with some symptoms like, well, fatigue could be one of them, depression. I put up a link up to an image that showed how stress can affect the body. It can give us indigestion, it can lower our immune system. So there's a lot of ways that stress can really affect our bodies. So so one way to help reduce stress in our life is to make sure you get sleep. Go to bed at the same time each night, wake up at the same time each day if you can, plus or minus an hour. And we try to say, you know, for every hour you get to bed before midnight, it's equivalent to 2 hours of rest. So what that means is if you went to bed at 11 o'clock at night and you woke up at 6 in the morning, even though that's 7 hours, because you went to bed 1 hour before midnight, we would count that as the equivalent of like 8 hours of rest. This is one of those little urban kind of stories that we talk about, just to hammer down the importance of how important sleep is. The other part is every hour you go to bed past midnight, you minus an hour. So if you go to bed at 1 a.m., you wake up at 6, that's 5 hours, but we're going to minus an hour because you went to bed at 1 a.m., so that's like 4 hours. So yeah, if you're a person that struggles with getting to bed around the same time and waking up around the same time, there's some things that you can do to help yourself. So the B complex certainly helps first thing in the morning, and melatonin's a great supplement in the evening to help with that. So that'd be one thing that you could do, work on sleep. Another one is, just like I mentioned last week, is support your body with some healthy nutrients. So make sure you have a diet that's rich in B vitamins and minerals. Our body consumes or needs so many things like magnesium and B vitamins and vitamin E and vitamin C. These are all needed for most of the metabolic reactions in the body, especially some of the hormonal reactions and neurotransmitter reactions in the body. We actually need to have these cofactors, things that actually help move things down the path, and those would be the B vitamins and the minerals. So if you have a pretty crappy diet, then a B complex could be pretty helpful. I think it's probably the one supplement that people can take and they can notice something within that day. Most supplements you don't know, right? It's like, I think it's working, I'm not quite sure. When people get good results with B complex, they're sold on it. They know that it's actually going to work for them. And then the third tip is all about balancing blood sugar. So I talked about cortisol, melatonin, talked about the importance of minerals and B vitamins, but blood sugar is probably the most important thing. So what does that mean? It means that if you're not eating your breakfast, or if you've got a breakfast that's rich in carbohydrates and not balanced by an adequate amount of protein. An adequate amount of protein could be, like 10 grams of protein, a handful of nuts, adding some high protein cashew cereal. You can get it any way you want. I personally like eggs, hard-boiled eggs or scrambled eggs. You can also get a really good grained bread with a wonderful nut butter, and that's a way of actually getting something in your stomach within an hour of waking up. Ask yourself this question: how many of you out there get a mid-afternoon lull in energy around 2 to 4 o'clock? You just don't have that energy, and you could have a nap. And then ask yourself if you had your breakfast. And if you didn't have your breakfast, that's probably one of the big things that you could work on, is just encouraging yourself to get some breakfast first thing in the morning. So what happens is if you don't balance out your meals with protein and you have too many carbohydrates, the carbohydrates get digested quite quickly and they get broken down quite quickly in the body, and the body's response to that is to spike your insulin. The body needs to get that blood sugar into the cells, and it can't get it into the cells unless there's insulin doing that. The problem is, like I talked about before, is cortisol kind of messes with that. It actually prevents insulin from working. So it keeps this blood sugar level higher in the blood, causing the insulin to spike even more. And that's what's causing a lot of the immune system issues, the insulin sensitivity issues. That could be diabetes, polycystic ovary syndrome. There's a whole slew of conditions that's attributed to poor blood sugar control. So protein is important. Eating your meals throughout the day is important. Now there are a few instances where you don't want to have small frequent meals. If you're struggling with things like SIBO, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, or some kind of IBS treatments, you may actually need to spread your meals out a little bit further, but for the most part, balancing your blood sugar is going to be the most important thing, and you can do that by ensuring you're getting a little bit of protein with every meal. Okay, so I can see we're coming close to 10 minutes, and that's kind of the length I wanted to make these. So happy Canada Day, everyone. And please, this week, put any questions you can down, send me a message so I've got some material to do. I'm trying to do this Fridays over the course of the summer, and if this is actually a good means to communicate with people, I'm hoping to have a daily, like 5 times a week, where I pop on for 10 minutes or so. So thanks again, everyone. Leave your questions below, and happy Canada Day. Cheers.